Okay, today we are very pleased to have with us our featured guest, Mr. Valence Williams, and he's not here for the first time. He's been with us before. He always has a lot of jewels to drop for us, so we look forward to what he has to present to us today. He's the Senior Vice President at J.H. Darbie. He's a Wall Street stockbroker, a financial planner, a trader and stock investment advisor, and he's now going to present to us on the basics and the benefits of investing in stocks and cryptocurrencies. Let us give a warm and hearty welcome to Mr. Valence Williams.
Hello. Welcome, Vance. Welcome, Valance.
Hello. Hello. It's really good to be here. And I guess we'll get started, huh?
Certainly.
My glasses on. Well, we're now coming out of the pandemic, as we all know. And some very interesting things happened during the pandemic. Whenever there is disruption and confusion and a collapse in systems, it also creates major opportunity. So during the period of time last year when everyone was scared, didn't know what to do, selling their stocks, the people that have seen this before, because everything has a pattern in life. This is not the first time I've seen this. I've been on the street for 35 years, and I've seen all the upsides and downsides. The downside, rather than be scared, remember this, is the ultimate buying opportunity, right? When everyone is running out the door, remember that, and you start running in. So you're catching the best businesses at the most affordable prices, you see? So now it's 2021 and everybody is coming back. And it's amazing, if you were to pay careful attention, you will notice that the average that is an indicator of Wall Street is called the Dow Jones average. Now the Dow has hit a high level of 35,000. Last year, the Dow was down to 21,000. So just with that kind of movement alone, even if you bought the worst company at that time, you would have made some money. But it's a very interesting phenomenon that is taking place right now. All of us have young people in our families, right? And it's very interesting, for the first time in the history of Wall Street and investing, there's been a serious flood of 20-somethings, people that are in college. They're buying stocks like crazy. And in every family, if you really want to understand the new phenomenon of cryptocurrencies, I could tell you some. But if you got teenagers and 20-somethings in your family, you may not be even aware of it if you're over 50, but they know about it and they're participating. For those of us that have been on Wall Street for a long, long time, this is almost like a human phenomenon that we're experiencing. If you've never heard of Robinhood, in terms of a brokerage house, Robinhood is the brokerage company that attracts the attention of all the teenagers and 20-somethings, right? And there's something called going public, when you take a private company to be traded on the New York Stock Exchange. Recently, Robinhood decided to go public, meaning to sell shares to the public. For the first time in my life, I've never seen anything like this. My office is close to the New York Stock Exchange, and I've been on the street for more than 30 years. It's the first time I've seen a company taking a company public. And they rent a space right next to the New York Stock Exchange. And there was a line wrapped around the block, and they were giving out pizza and a plant. I'd never seen that before. So remember that name, Robin Hood. Ask the young ones in your family about it. They're driving the thing. Now, another interesting company that, if you may not have heard of it, is called Coinbase. Coinbase is the company that has given major legitimacy to the young ones that are trading the cryptocurrencies. If you never heard of cryptocurrencies, you heard of Bitcoin, right? Then there's Ethereum. There are many, many cryptocurrencies. I can explain some of it to you, but if you have 20 somethings and teenagers in your family, talk to them. They all know about it and they are participating. So for the elders that are scared, nothing in life is static, including investments and new ways of investing. When the Bitcoin first gave an indication that something new is about to come, it was about 5 years ago. One of the greatest minds on Wall Street with respect to finance is Jamie Dimon, that heads up Chase Manhattan Bank. When the Bitcoin came off and it shot up, the young ones started buying. We'd never seen anything. This is like a phenomenon. So being one of the most brilliant bankers in the world, everyone turned to him to hear what he had to say. He said, it's nonsense. And they asked, will Chase Manhattan get involved or investigate? He said no. But within a matter of 2 weeks, the young, brilliant minds at Chase called a meeting with him, sat him down, and say, look, you're the best in your time, but what is about to happen here is going to transform how money rolls around the world. And if we miss out on it, it would affect your legacy. He decided to take the time. Now, that was about a few years ago. Now, Chase Manhattan is heavy into the cryptocurrency. So I'm saying this deliberately because a lot of, at my age, I have a lot of friends over 50. And if you don't pay attention, you will get up one day and the whole game of finance is changed on you. And you wonder, well, when did this happen? Well, it's in progress right now. Right. It's in progress right now. Let me turn off this phone, please. Forgive me. All right. Anyway, there's certain companies that last year that when the market came down, whenever there is major catastrophe, there's also major opportunity. We're all buying from Amazon, Apple Computer. People are on Twitter and Facebook and all these things. There's so many great companies that we all buying, doing business. PayPal, Square, Tesla Motors, Roku TV, Target we're buying from. We're going to movies at AMC. Now, does anyone heard of a company called Moderna, which is the first company that got certified by the FDA? Well, right when we were all scared of dying, Moderna got but the FDA approved Moderna with their first shot at a pill for the virus. To think about this, Moderna in 2020, in April of 2020, could have been bought for $60 a share. Moderna recently got up to $485 a share. That's in 1 year. Do the math. If you had the money to afford 1,000 shares, look, it's $500,000. You put out less than $60,000 in $500,000. So I reiterate it also because wherever there is catastrophe, there's opportunity. That's something very important too. Now, one of the things that I've noticed from being in this area for such a long time, to understand cryptocurrencies, which is like Bitcoin, there are different kinds of coins, right? There's Bitcoin, there is Ethereum, those are the popular names, but there's a whole slew of coins. Once again, the young ones in the family, they know it. You might not even know that they're trading, right? Everything that is creating a global paradigm shift gives you a warning. Meaning, let's go back to when the internet started. back in the 90s, right? There was America Online. There were all these little companies. It's called the dot-com era. And we all remember that, right? Now, every major business, every business in the world is a dot-com. The same thing that happened, that you see happening, the same euphoria and upside movement that we're seeing even with this Bitcoin is exactly the same thing that occurred in the 90s at the beginning of the dot-com period, right? And we had the same kinds of responses from people that are resistant to change. Change is inevitable. So I saw this pattern. So when the cryptocurrencies were in the embryonic stage, I paid careful attention. And once again, it's exactly similar pattern to when the dot-com era started. So for the listeners that everybody might have, like, if you're working for certain companies, you have a 401k, which is supposed to be conservative. It's your retirement money and IRA. But conservatism, remember now, this is money you want to grow for your retirement. When you're retired, you need money to live. So it's important even if you're over 50 and you only got another 10 years or 15 or 20 years, you got to put an element of risk in there, because risk is commensurate with return. Because if you retire at 65 and you live till 90, that's a lot of years, a lot of expenses. So I am here just basically to let you know to pay more attention to the financial aspects of the world. When you turn on the TV, go to CNBC and sit down and listen carefully, because they really share a lot of information. I mean, I have to look at it all day but every human being, life is a cost. Living is a cost. And to be able to afford the niceties of life, your salary may not just be enough. You have to find a way to invest so that you can make your assets grow. And coincidentally, there are so many ways now. When I first started on Wall Street some 35 years ago, we had to sometimes go to the library and places like that to research what, companies and stuff like that. Then computers came in and made it much easier. Now, anything that I'm saying to you, if you pull out your phone, your cell phone, and I said to you, check out the price of a share of Amazon. The symbol is AMZN. You could just go into the Google search and put in AMZN, and you'll get the exact price of that day. So what I'm actually saying is that the information now is at your fingertips. When I started in the business, we had to go digging for information, and it was usually out of a book, or you had to wait until it was printed. Now it is instantaneous. There's a major, major opportunity. And it's very, very important for the elders to start utilizing the young techies. Every family, every young one is a techie. It's just part of the natural element, the dynamics of being young right now. And every young one under 30, under 35 are familiar with Bitcoin, the whole cryptocurrency market, how to buy it, how to sell it. Most of the older people I'm interacting with heard of it, scared of it, but it is here to stay, and it's an alternative to just dealing in dollars. It is definitely worth your while to pay attention, and because it's still in the embryonic stages, if you get an opportunity to participate, jump on it, because 5 years ago, one Bitcoin was 6,000. Today it got up to 50,000. Think of that. Not even your real estate increases like that. And it's only just begun. I rest my case.
So in other words, Valence, you're saying that it's not too late to get on board.
Not too late to get on board. We're in the embryonic stage. It's a baby now. And it's global. And every young person under 35, 40 years old, going right down to teens, are participating in it. And if you're uncomfortable, get close to the young ones and say, show me what you're doing. Because it's a range of coins. And in fact, the guy that created Tesla Motors, God, his name, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I remember when he decided to show the world that it's time for us to get off of fossil fuels. It's a pollutant, gasoline and that stuff. And I remember when he started Tesla, I was talking to friends of mine. Tesla was 80, you could have bought a Tesla at $50 a share at one time. Tesla got up to almost $4,000 a share before they split it, 7 for 1. And since then, it's gone right back. So these are things that, fossil fuels, you see, there's the electric car also is a reality. So if you're going to buy a new car right now, it doesn't really make sense to buy because it has an element of enhancing the environment because fossil fuels, which is gasoline and oil, is a pollutant, right? So the younger generation now realize that all these electric cars need electric batteries. And the major component is something called lithium. In parts of the world, the underdeveloped world, is where the lithium is. You see? I'm from Guyana. Guyana is loaded with lithium. In fact, guess where the largest reserves of lithium is?
Tell us.
Well, it's a country that right now people are waiting to get to America. Afghanistan. So they got a wealth that is sitting on there. It's just for them to get their act together, right? So it's really a paradigm shift taking place now. If you notice, when Tesla started, Ford and all the other motor companies had not done anything in the. They realized every car company now is working on an electric car. It's environmentally friendly, and it's the future, So with that,
But I have a question for you.
Yes.
And I know there are cases examples you can give of how people have invested in these emerging stocks that are ripe and good opportunities for investment, and also the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies. But you are speaking as someone who is a veteran. You're speaking as someone who's been around. We didn't mention where you worked in the beginning, just so that folks can see the credibility that comes with your wealth of experience. When did it start for you? You are a Harvard graduate.
I went to Howard, and right out of school, I went to work for DuPont in Delaware, and I wasn't too comfortable with that. Then American Express we were in the embryonic stages of that time, where they realized that you have to hire young, educated blacks so that, the rest of the world could see what was going on. You know what I mean? That you're leading the way, So I then moved over to American Express. And they had different divisions. I was in the travel division. So I was in the management training program. As a result of that,
Were there many looking like you?
I was just
of your complexion?
Well, there was myself and 3 others, right? And because somebody had to start demonstrating, They always says this is like 1977, 78, around that time. I got out of graduate school of business in 76. And then that's the early stages. So it gave me a lot of global exposure in the travel division. But then right about that time, right, the price of gold, they took it off of the peg. See, Nixon had to do something with the economy and let the price of gold flow. they pegged it at $35 an ounce. And you can't put a limitation on the price of a commodity such as gold, which is considered a valuable commodity throughout the world. And when they took that peg off, gold went from $35 to $875. I left American Express because I got in contact with some people that were trading gold and silver in the commodities trading, on the commodities trading exchange. Well, at the age of 25, it was the largest amount of money I've ever accumulated at that time, because silver went from $5 to 50. Gold went from $35 to $875. It was the most amazing thing I've seen. So that was my start from trading commodities. Then I got licensed to trade stocks.
So by then you were on Wall Street.
Yes, now it is moved to Wall Street. And none of the companies that I worked with back then are around anymore. Things like Shearson Lehman Brothers, right? Donaldson Lufkin Jenrick, Beer Stearns, Dean Witter, all of them are gone. But I'm still here.
And I remember having a conversation with you, and you mentioned one of your classmates at Howard was somebody that we all respect dearly, who may his soul rest in peace.
Elijah Cummings.
Elijah Cummings.
Yeah. We were campus politicians. Yeah? He's from Baltimore, right? And it was a period when we were marching heavily for, the civil rights and Black Power and the Black Panthers and stuff. So he and I got together. There was Desmond Alfred from Tobago, So it was a group of us. It was a hell of a period at Howard. And it's a pleasure to see Kamala Harris coming out of Howard also. Howard University always paid attention to, the future of our people. And it's also a place where it's very international. There were Africans, there are a large Caribbean community. It's very gratifying now to know that it's a young Trinidadian as the president of Howard University.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yes, he was here recently in New York, I think. Yeah.
And Valance, something, you've been with us a few times in the past. I remember when cryptocurrencies first came on the scene, you
remember that?
You had something to say about it at one of our sessions back at Trelawney Place back in the day.
That's a few years ago. Right?
That's a few years ago.
Yeah.
And you've always done that voluntarily. You've given us of your time to try to educate and to lift and to grow financial literacy amongst our people.
Well, that's what they taught. That's what they told us to do at Howard.
And you have been doing it. And so I'm really happy that you've been making yourself available to do that.
Yeah.
And that you are continuing to do it today with us. But there's a story that and we don't have to give names, we don't have to, but I know that you've seen people that you've worked with in a period of just a few months grow investments.
Yeah.
Could you give us an example in terms of numbers that you've seen lately?
Well, I've seen probably one of the most exhilarating ones is someone who is willing to be taught and willing
that you worked with.
Yeah, and willing to take a shot that said, all I have is $10,000. I said, well, let's take a shot. And within a matter of 9 months to a year, we were sitting on $40,000. From one of the meetings there's a young lady that came to me and transferred her IRA. And it was about...
From our networking sessions?
Yeah, from $30-something thousand. She's now sitting with about $150,000.
And that was over a period of about a year?
No, not that short a time. It was a couple of years, few years.
And she went from 30-something to 100?
30-something to 150,000.
And folks, the reason why I asked Valance to share information with us here today and examples like that is to encourage you, those of you on the outside listening, who are leaving your monies under the mattress or in a Susu or in the bank, to seriously consider cryptocurrency investment and stock investment. And speaking to professionals, experts, veterans like Valance, Williams here, who has been around, who knows how to monitor and assess and to give guidance in those matters.
But if I may interject, I find it easier for older people of a certain age, it's easier for them to take a shot in the stock market. The cryptocurrency,
Younger folks.
It's a little difficult for the older crowd to wrap their head around. And the only suggestion I have with that, because every day it is getting more and more popularized, right? So pay attention. If you see something that you can read on it, you see something on the TV that says cryptocurrency, pay attention, because it's about to take over globally.
Certainly. And folks, as we continue this conversation, if you're following this live with us, I encourage you to network in the thread of this live. Tell us who you are, what you do, what's your product, your service. Upload your business card or your flyer if you have an event coming up, because we have to take advantage of technology and use it.
Networking.
That's it. Yeah. It's all about networking. And if you have a question, you may also ask a question here on the thread. And if you prefer not to ask your question on the thread, I'm going to share with you from time to time, and I'm also going to post it, the contact information for Valence Williams. You can reach Valence on V Williams at JH Darbie.com. And you can also, if you would like to call him, you can also reach him by 917-742-0257. 917-742-0257. So, Cheryl, you have a question you'd like to ask at this point?
For someone who doesn't really have experience investing in stocks, what would you say would be
the amount
to start with?
That is impossible for me to say, because I have no indication of what your worth is. I have no indication of it's not. It's impossible for me to call. Right?
Yeah.
What we could do is to start a conversation, and you tell me where you are, what your savings and stuff like that, what you've done before, and then I can get some idea.
Right.
Of what you can,
how much risk you can take.
Yeah, because you ask a question like that, and I'm accustomed to starting with some people with 50 grand. I'm accustomed to, because I'm working with my own people and stuff. So some people could only do 5, and the young ones that I'm working with, they take a shot with $1,000. They might not do it with me, but I would tell them they try this, and they would tell me what they're doing in the young ones are putting that kind of money into the cryptocurrency market, and it's growing rapidly. So young ones around the family, check who knows about it also, because it's amazing that I'm also amazed that the elders in the family are not speaking to the young ones, and all of them doing this thing on not Coinbase is big, but they know all the different platforms. They all got it, and you notice their proficiency with the phone. So it's all of them right there.
Right.
And as we speak of this, right, 5 years from now, we could go back to this tape, and you'll see what I'm saying about this whole interconnectivity of the digital age. That's the word, digital age, because cryptocurrencies is digital currencies. It's the thing when they said Bitcoin, that last word, coin, I think is a little confusing.
Right.
Because people, when you say coin, you're thinking physical coin.
Exactly.
All it is a line of code in the computer. And it's something called mining, Bitcoin mining. It's they use up a lot of power. It's a whole set of computer programming to mine one Bitcoin. So think about it. 10 years ago, one Bitcoin was about 3,000. Not even 10, 7. It hit 50,000 just today.
Yeah. Wow.
You see? So I have to share the information, because we're not going backward, we're going forward. And I keep reiterating, The young ones in your family, talk with them. They might not be sharing it with you, but all of them are aware of this thing because they are such. It's easy for them to learn and understand because they're part of this whole digital evolution. Yeah. If you put your phone on the floor and a baby is creeping, can't even talk yet, where's the first place they go into the phone?
Exactly. And the
And
baby knows
stone.
how to operate the
Yeah,
phone.
they already know, right? That is exactly where I'm
Yep.
coming from, right?
Yeah, it is so true.
So these things, it seems complicated, you know.
Mm. It's complicated for, I guess, like you said, people of a certain age.
Yeah, well,
because
that's
we did
because
not grow up in that
no,
era.
well, what it is that
So,
we get
but
closed-minded, and
right,
we
we
not
have
gonna
to
realize.
expose ourselves to
Yeah,
that information.
you got to
Yeah.
intentionally because
Exactly.
nothing stays static.
Hmm.
Everything is changing.
Yeah, we have to realize that the world is changing.
Yeah,
And-
look, in a few years there will be no more gas stations. If you notice something in Brooklyn, gas stations used to be at corners, right? So you could go in and come out. If you look around, you'll see that there are less and less gas stations
Right.
because there are more and more electric
Electric.
cars.
Mm.
Reality.
Yes, it's a new reality.
Yeah.
You know, Valance, a while ago I said, I mentioned Susu, and I think Susu is a good idea.
Oh, yeah, yes, definitely.
I think it's a good idea.
Definitely.
In terms of what it does, it helps you to
Yeah,
compound.
compound,
So that you can make big purchases and so on,
Yeah,
and it goes around.
yeah.
However, I would discourage all people to put as much emphasis on as they have been is just putting the money in a savings account.
Yeah, well, that's-
It really goes nowhere, and the banks are using your money to do what you can be doing with the advice and direction of people like Valence Williams. They're investing. The banks are taking the money and they're investing it in stocks and mutual
it's
funds.
interesting you mentioned banks because there's a new kind of banking taking place. The new banks don't have physical location. You know, the new banks will give you a credit card like nothing, right? The new banks got an interesting way of doing business. They are ready to work with you on anything. The old banks, you walk in there, they're looking at you funny. You know, you got to stand in a long, long line, and you're going to give them your money for a little bit of return. You know,
There's very few tellers now at the
Yeah.
physical banks. Not like before.
the new banks didn't even care about a physical location because it's a digital world and they do things quickly. You get a card, bang, bang, boom. You know, so we have to work with change.
And I'm happy that you are embracing it. You have embraced it, and you're passing it on to generations that
I'm
are.
passing it on because I also I interact with a lot of the younger ones too, you know, because when I talk with them, they have no fear of this thing. They not using Chase Manhattan at Citibank. So that's a waste of time. You know what I mean? It's like, for instance, another evolution. I remember when I was in college, right? If I ran out of money, I got to call Guyana for my father to send money. If my father's sending me $100, right, in terms of US dollars, Western Union taking fees $20, right? Look at what the evolution. Cash out. Pop, 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 money. One touch and your money move. So that the banking system now is shaking in the boots because the younger generation coming up with different ways of, you know, it's a reality. So we have to work with change. It's inevitable. This was quite enjoyable, I must say.
Oh yeah. Well, we have a brother who is sitting there, and I'm wondering if he has a question for you. Do you have a question that you like to ask? You can come. We want to hear it clearly, so you can come. You will plan for that, but you adapt. Let's hear the question. Yeah, introduce yourself.
All right. Well, good night, everyone. I am Glenn. I'm sitting there. I miss a little bit of it, but as you mentioned, cryptocurrency. That's my line right there. I love
Then you go my move
to the side. All right. Awesome. Thanks. As you mentioned, cryptocurrency. it piques my interest when I got the flyer from Jerry, because it's I noticed it's an avenue that everyone is going into. Um, my question to you, Mr. Williams, is how soon do you think this might hit? Let's say, I know it's already starting to hit most of the North America and some of the other countries. How fast do you think this is going to hit the Caribbean?
The Caribbean is already, the young ones in the Caribbean are already aware of it, talking about it. It's up to the governments in the Caribbean to step it up. Their kids are moving faster. Because remember, the governments are run by older people, right? Take an example. The first time that cryptocurrency raised its head, right? Pull your chair over.
Yes.
Yeah. First time the cryptocurrencies went up a few years ago, the supposed greatest banking mind in the world, Jamie Dimon of Chase Manhattan, when he saw it, and I was listening carefully, I wanted to see how he's saying. He said this will not work. The young guys in in Chase, right? The 30-something-year-old guys that are bright with the MBAs, and called a meeting and sat him down and said, look, if we don't open our minds and work and start checking into this, we might miss this big move. And at that time, Bitcoin was just 13,000. Bitcoin now is bracing 50,000. Now he already set up departments and said, get them boys to run it. So that's the reality, man. It's a major change. The word we use on Wall Street is a paradigm shift taking place.